Good evening. I'd like to call to order the April 22nd, 2026 regular board meeting of the Mount Diablo Unified School District. And we're going to start with our land acknowledgement. We recognize that the Mount Diablo Unified School District sits on the territory of the Confederate villages of Lashon, the ancestral and unceded land of the Bay Miwok and the Northern Yukut, the successors of the Southern Verona Band of Contra Costa County. As members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District community, it is vitally important that we not only recognize the history of the land on which we learn, but also we recognize that the land we inhabit and learn on is the ancestral land of these people who are live and flourishing members of the Mount Diablo Unified School District and broader Bay Area communities today. Thank you, and please join me in the pledge. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All righty. Now, we will have 6.3, review and potential approval of the minutes of the regular board meeting for April 15th, 2026.
I move we approve the minutes for the regular board meeting held April 15th.
Second. We have a motion by trustee Nzeli, a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Herrera-Oriana, are you going to vote or abstain?
I'll vote. I'll say yes.
Okay, that passes with support of our board. Review and potential approval of the agenda, Dr. Clark.
Yes, Madam President, I have one change. I would like to move item 11.1 and make that item 8.1 and make 8.1 now 8.2.
I'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move we approve the agenda, making the following changes, changing 8.1 to 8.2 and 11.1 to 8.1.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougall. Trustee Ariana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0-0 with support of our student trustee, Dr. Clark. 8.1.
7.1, ma'am.
Oh, a minute. Okay. Report out of closed session. We didn't have anything to report out of closed session. That's why I was moving right to the next slide.
Yes. So, Madam President, we are now going to hear a report from our IB programs. And so with that, I'm going to call up Miss Kelly Hoover. But I do just want to take a minute and recognize previous Akalani's trustee Coppersmith in the audience who hired me a long time ago, and hopefully I'm making her proud. So, all right, so if all of our IB people could come up. Ms. Hoover, who are all these wonderful people you have with you?
Wonderful IB students here to share with you
good.
tonight. So good evening, Dr. Clark, Madam President, and board trustees. My name is Kelly Hoover, and I'm the district IB coordinator. And tonight we're going to share with you IB updates from each of our sites. This is our first year with all 4 of our IB sites being authorized as IB World Schools. All of them are listed above. And here are all of our site coordinators and heads of school that have helped coordinated our presentation for tonight. So first up, we welcome Monty Gardens.
I won an art contest by the mayor. I got the email about the contest. Do you want me to start again?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, start again.
This is okay. I won an art contest by the mayor. I got the email about the contest before the deadline. All I could think of was I'm not going to make it, but I decided to at least try. I finished in about an hour, turned it in proudly, and hoped for the best. Later that fall, our principal came into my class to announce that I won the contest. I was shocked. I was inspired to take a risk because of my school's IB profiles, which you'd probably call a risk taker.
I wanted to introduce this is Isabella. She's our fourth grade student. My name is Eleni Pastianos, and this was our first accredited year. And I will say that our teachers did a great job this year, giving students the opportunity to be with the community. Okay.
Okay. Hi, my name is Alexander Snakin. Our teachers' name are Miss File and Miss Avadia. Our sustainable goal is clean and affordable energy. My line of inquiry is we need clean energy to protect the environment from pollution.
Hello, my name is Ismail Ahmad. My line of inquiry is clean energy and its ways of obtaining it have evolved over the years.
Hello, my name is Levi Kananen. My line of inquiry is there are many ways to get renewable, efficient, affordable, and reasonable energy in California.
Hello, everyone. My name is Malcolm Pizzini. My line of inquiry is we can take steps to make affordable and clean energy available for all. My teachers are Miss File and Miss Ovadia. Our sustainable development goal is affordable and clean energy. Number 7.
Hi, my name is Ava. Our teacher is Miss Wilson. Our sustainable goal is zero hunger. My line of inquiry is there are many patterns of hunger in communities.
Hi, I'm Josie Coppersmith, and my line of inquiry is the impact of hunger on children's lives.
Hi, my name is Primrose Deach, and my line of inquiry is the consequences of food insecurity compared to having reliable access to food.
Hi, my name is Riley Lamb. Our teacher is Miss Anthon. Our sustainable development goal is responsible consumption and production. My line of inquiry it is our responsibility to stop responsible consumption and production.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Chang. My line of inquiries are overconsumption and production impacts all living things, and we are wasting water. We need to stop.
Hi, my name is Sebastian, and my line of inquiry is how has consumption and production increased over time?
I just want to say I'm Miss Ovadia. I'm Kim Ovadia. And all these kids wrote those lines of inquiry themselves for their end of the year PYP project. And they've been doing an amazing job. So thank you for your time. Sorry. Oh yeah, and we want to invite you to the exhibition on May 15th. You all I have flyers too for the handout. Yeah.
You know, can I, before the next group comes on, I really want to thank the young people who are working to save this planet. Unfortunately, many of the adults here have lost our way, and we have been doing unreversible damage to our planet and to our environment. And so I am so excited to hear of the work that you all are doing, especially on this being Earth Day. So big round of applause to all of you who came up and spoke. Yeah.
Hi guys, I'm Jill Grover. I'm the IB coordinator at Oak Grove, and we just wrapped up our 8th grade community project, and board member Mayo, it was really awesome to have you join us that evening, so thank you. Tonight we have 4 of our stellar students who just knocked the project out of the park, and they're here to kind of explain their process to you.
Hello, my name is Melanie Villa, and this is our 8th grade community project.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board members. My name is Gia Ishidamesa.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board members. My name is Sana Anwari.
Good evening, Dr. Clark and board members. My name is Hanya May Rialjoa.
The animal shelter is struggling because it doesn't have enough staff or supplies. As a result, injured, sick, or scared animals don't always get immediate care, and basic tasks like cleaning and grooming are sometimes delayed. Being new, the shelter also lacks essential items like food and blankets, making it harder to keep the animals safe and comfortable.
A few of the skills that we learned in this project helped us grow in teamwork, listening to each other, and sharing responsibilities to get things done on time.
A few of the IB traits that we used to emphasize these skills were not communication,
Being open-minded, being knowledgeable,
and caring. By showing the IB trait caring, I support the animal. By showing the IB trait caring, I support the animal shelter by ensuring that the animal shelter is showing the IB trait of caring. I support the animal shelter by helping ensure that animals are safe, healthy, and being treated with kindness.
we use the IB trait communication by listening carefully and expressing our ideas to help others understand how to help the animal shelter.
Being knowledgeable means showing an understanding of concepts and using what you learn to make informed decisions.
Being open minded reflects the ability of learning, listening, and understanding other people's perspective. Overall, the community project really made our minds open to the importance of animal care and their priorities. The more we got to spend time with them, the more we got to connect with them and notice their needs. Because not only us humans need support and have struggles, but also our animal companions. And that concludes a little glimpse of our 8th grade community project. We're really honored to have this opportunity to present in front of all you guys, and we're really grateful that we have been chosen by our wonderful school district. Thank you so much for listening.
Could I ask real quickly? Great job. Could you hold it? Would you
Come on.
mind maybe holding up the display and then show the audience as well? Because it's fantastic.
So I would just like to say to the Oak Grove students who just presented that sometime back when I was having rough days and hard days, I would go to the Contra Costa Animal Shelter and go and visit the dogs there, and then I ended up bringing one of the dogs home. So it has brought me great joy. But I saw your project online, and it really touched me. And so just like I told the other students, sometimes us adults don't make all the right choices and things like that. And so I am so excited that we have young people coming up and really carrying the torch on these very, very important issues. So thank you all so much for your presentation.
Good afternoon, board members. My name is Shabnam Sultani, and I'm an IB diploma candidate at Native Valley High School. Next to me, we have our head of school, Amanda Lucian, and then our one of the IB coordinators and the math teacher, Tabitha Box. This afternoon, we are going to briefly describe our IB community, the experiences, growth, service, and how IB students impact us. This year, one of the most meaningful experiences has been connecting with students from Marietta High School, from East Coast, through a live Q&A where we discuss our IB experiences, school traditions, and the post-graduation plans, and how our IB program prepares us for college and future careers. Connecting with another school that's also doing the IB program and are going through similar experiences and challenges was both reassuring and inspiring to us to just explore and talk to them. Thank you so much for your time.
Good afternoon, members of the board. My name is Paola Navarrete Gomez, and I'm proud to be an IB student at YBHS. What makes the program really special is that we learn how to connect learning with real impact. We partner with Oak Grove Middle School, where we tutor students in math and lead breakout box activities to build problem-solving skills. This coming year, we will have an incredible growth in the IB program, including a 75% increase in diploma candidates, along with continued expansion in overall IB enrollment for next year.
Good afternoon, members of the board. I'm Joseph Cienfuegos, and I am an IB scholar at YBHS. Part of the IB curriculum is our internal assessment, which is done for every class we take. So far, I've started working on my IAs for history, English, and math, and I have learned a lot from them. I had never written a research paper about topics I was interested in and I had chosen. And this freedom led me to devote myself to writing to the best of my abilities and learn many skills that I will need for college. As IB students, we more than double our chances of being accepted into the universities we apply for. This year, seniors have been accepted to various universities, such as UC Berkeley, Cal Poly, University of Oregon, Fisher College in Massachusetts, and St. Louis University in Madrid, Spain. We are proud Wolves, and we're excited for what's ahead as IB students at YVHS.
Ooh. And Ms. Hoover, I just want to say to our YV students, first of all, connecting with other students across the country, I think that really shows how much we have in common with one another, right? And even though they may live on the totally other side of the country, I'm sure as you guys connected, you were able to make connections and find that you had things in common. And then also going and giving back and working with our middle school students within the district. I really applaud you all for that. And I know of the benefits of being an IB student, and so I'm very proud that some of your colleagues have got into the top universities and colleges of their choice, but then also that they have that skill set to take inquiry and project-based learning out into the real world and achieve whatever it is that you all set your hearts to. So I really want to thank Ignacio Valley High School, Oak Grove, Sequoia, and Monty Gardens for their presentation. Now take it over, Ms. Hoover.
Just thank you for you do. I just want to tell the kids from Ignacio Valley High School for the last 2 years, I come to, I believe it's your gala where you recognize the teachers and the students, and there's such a feeling of camaraderie and community. The parents are there, the students all support each other. It's just a really, one of the events I look forward to coming to because it's very positive. So thank you for that, for inviting us.
Thank you. Thank you for supporting our International Baccalaureate program. Thanks. All right. Good job.
All right, thank you. Would you guys like to take a picture up here with the board? Can we have all the IB students come up here before you guys leave? Come up and stand up here.
When do we sit here? Oh, okay. Then they can see me. We're short. Maybe, yeah, we'll be fine.
Berkeley, right? Deborah, you're too saying she can't see it.
It's about the kids, it's not about me.
Where are we looking? Look at Teresa. Good to see you.
I told that mom to come up here. That's all. I didn't want her to live. Yeah. It's all good.
Right. Well, that was a great way to start a meeting. Now we'll go on to our public comment. We've got Jorge Silva.
Hi, good evening, board members. My name is Jorge Silva, and I am speaking to you today as the newly elected ELAC representative at Bancroft Elementary. Tonight, I'm here to tell you that the elimination of the Spanish program at Bancroft is no longer contained within this room. Bancroft families continue to appeal the uniform complaint decision to the California Department of Education, and some families, as you know, have taken additional steps to file in legal action against the district. This should concern everyone in this room because this didn't have to happen. Families came to you early in good faith, asking for a pause, to follow the law, asking for transparency, asking for solutions that wouldn't harm children. Instead, the district dismissed these concerns, ignored our questions, and pushed forward and issued findings that failed to address the real questions and issues at stake. Now the state will review what you chose not to fix. And while this process unfolds, families are dealing with the real world consequences of these decisions. The district made a promise to Bancroft families that if we enroll our children, we'll have continuity in the program. That promise has been broken. And now the district is going even farther. Despite promising to families that they will have a choice whether their kids will be going to, the siblings of enrolled kids will be going to Bancroft, we're getting denial letters to the families of siblings that have siblings currently in Bancroft. That is just not bad policy, it's harmful. It disrupts families, it destabilizes young kids, and it sends a message that the district does not prioritize our students or our community. At every step, there has been a choice for the board to act, a choice to listen to us or not, a choice to meet with us or not, a choice to mitigate the harm or not, a choice to keep the beloved program active or to let the district dismantle it, a choice to protect the access to Latino students to Bancroft or to kick them out, a choice to lead or a choice to deflect. Right now, you still have a choice. Pause this process, allow the siblings to transfer into Bancroft, engage with families in good faith, because if you don't, the harm to these families will be irreparable. It continues to escalate this to the state. And I actually want to play something from somebody that I heard in a couple of months ago.
Quality programs, and we are responsive to our family, and our students are being successful.
That's true. Right now, we're not engaging with the families. We're dismantling a successful program.
Thank you.
We're being hurt.
This one's hard to read. Lucilia? Okay.
The surname is the hard part. Okay, good evening, board members, superintendent. My name is Lucila Guichou. I'm a Bancroft parent with a third grader and a first grader currently enrolled in the dual immersion program. My children are English learners, a group the district explicitly acknowledged requires additional support and careful consideration before any program changes are made. I'm here tonight because the district made me a promise in writing and then broke it. On February 10, Principal Flynn sent a communication to Bancroft families. One of the questions addressed was exactly my situation. A transfer family with an incoming kindergarten who has siblings in the dual immersion program. The answer from the district was clear, and I'm gonna read it directly. Yes, your incoming child will transfer into Bancroft under the sibling priority, which is a higher than program priority. The same day at the PFC meeting, Dr. Aguili confirmed it in a PowerPoint slide. Transfer families with incoming kindergartners may select Bancroft under sibling priority, priority level 2. My daughter applied. She was rejected. Again, she was rejected. I want the board members to understand what this means for my family. My youngest will not be able to walk into school every morning with her brother and sister. I will be managing 2 school schedules, 2 drop-off, 2 set of aftercare arrangement at schools miles apart. My older children will lose the role of being her guides and protectors in a new school. The sibling bond in a bilingual environment they have all grown up expecting to share will be broken from day one. And as an English learner, my children depend on program continuity in ways the district itself recognizes as critical. Changes affecting English learners, students are supposed to require additional notice, community input, and careful planning. None of that happened here. This broken promise feels retaliatory. I file a uniform complaint form. I file a CD appeal. And now my incoming kindergartner, who has 2 siblings at Bancroft, has been turned away from the school where the brother and sister attend. I'm asking the board tonight, honor your word, approve my daughter's transfer, and explain to this community why a written promise made to families was quietly discarded. Nobody is above the law. We are not above the law, but you are also not above the law. So we should follow it. You should follow it as well. We've been coming here. We've been trying to talk to you, Dr. Clark. We never had the chance to actually speak to you directly. At the meeting that it was held at the multi-use room, you took like 5 papers and you said, I'm going to address each of these questions and I'm going to come back to you. Till today, we are still waiting for that. We never converse. We never have a conversation. Thank you.
Thank you. Jane Enlow?
Good evening, Superintendent, board members, student. My name is Jane Balch-Enlow, and I've been a teacher in this district for 31 years, a teacher for 35. I'm here tonight to speak about something that might seem small at first glance, but in reality reflects our values as a district, the condition of our stage at Sequoia Middle School. I've come for the past 15 years or more when I was teaching drama, trying to get the stage fixed, and it has never been fixed. It is a safety issue. Right now, the stage is not truly a stage. It's 2 sets of risers stacked on top of each other. That setup is not only inadequate, but it's also unsafe. Students are expected to perform, present, and move on a surface that was never designed for that purpose. The risk of falls or injury is real, and frankly, it's preventable. Equally concerning is that this setup does not meet ADA compliant standards for the lift in any meaningful way. The lift doesn't work. We are sending a message, intentionally or not, that not all students have equal access to participate. That's not who we are, and it's not what we should stand for. A proper stage is more than a structure. It's a space where students build confidence, express themselves, and feel seen. Concerts, assemblies, presentations, these are the moments that matter, and every student deserves to access that space safely and with dignity. Right now, we are asking students and staff to make do with something that doesn't work. We can do better than making do. I urge the board to prioritize building a proper, safe, and ADA compliant stage. It's about safety, it's about equity, and it's about showing our students that their experiences and their well-being matter. Right now, the music teacher has to not use the whole stage because she can't. She has so many students. If she tried to put everybody on the stage, she used to have to put tables where drummers were on the tables in the back. This is an unsafe stage. I've been saying it for over 15 years. I would really like somebody to, and I know people have come out to look at it. I think it needs to be looked at and addressed very, very soon. Otherwise, we could have a liability on our hands. Thank you for your time and consideration.
Thank you. Next, we have Sarah Henley.
Good evening, board members. I hope that you are able tonight, I implore all of you tonight to listen to all of us with patience, with curiosity, with compassion, and with humility. Thank you. On February 2nd, a Q&A was posted to address the questions related to the change at Bancroft with the two-way dual immersion program. I want to read to you one of the questions. I'm paraphrasing, but the question was, is this about reducing enrollment at Bancroft? In that same question, what is the rationale for this change? The answer that was given was that this is not about enrollment, it is to preserve the pedagogy. Board members, the pedagogy is not in peril. Bancroft two-way dual immersion is a shining example of how it works. It is done right. I understand that having cohorts remain together in middle school is ideal, but it is not necessary to preserve the pedagogy of the two-way dual immersion. Second, regarding enrollment, at least 31 kindergarten seats have been eliminated from Bancroft during this change, thus denying many the opportunity to keep their siblings together at Bancroft, despite, as Lucila said, being told to choose. My family agonized over this choice since we heard, and we went back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, thinking that we did have a choice. I just received my son's denial letter so that he will not go to school with his sister. The rationale does not hold up. And regardless of what is touted as explanation, the optics tell a different story. The optics tell a different story. We are all still wondering, what is the rationale? This makes no sense. The only thing that I can come up with is that this looks like a problem or a set of problems that are attempted to be solved by reducing enrollment at Bancroft, by terminating the two-way dual immersion program at Bancroft to funnel children into Oak Grove and Ignacio Valley. If that's not what's going on, there needs to be a clear explanation as to what is. We continue to ask for clarity, and we do not get it. We continue to ask you to please work with us. We are not being worked with. If you care about the families, what are you doing? Why do you continue to let this go on? Look, we don't have a lot of control in our lives. None of us do. Our country is, I can't even go there, but listen, our children, our families are what matters. I want my kids together. Lucila wants her kids together. Please pause this hasty decision. Thank you.
Thank you. Annie Malakzadin.
You gave a great effort. It's Annie Malakzadeh. I come to you from Valhalla. Thank you very much for hearing my public comment. I come to you with a literacy concern across our district. For background, I'm a former educator with an MAT earned in Tennessee with experience teaching in California, Virginia, and the state of Tennessee. I did my year-long student teaching in Appalachia. I was appalled to learn that my children's school had a most recent third grade ELA CASP score of 63.41% proficiency. To be fair, that's better than the district's overall score, but equally dismal if our goal is to have almost all students on grade level by third grade. I recently reached out to the board to document my experience in seeking intervention. I did receive a response. Thank you. This is regarding intervention with my middle child, a current kindergarten student. We received a DIBELS score directly from the district. It was not communicated from our school. This was the score received in January. The prior score was never communicated. I was not granted an SST meeting for a full 3 months. During that time, I was appealing to my administrator. I learned during that meeting, which occurred yesterday, that my student had a prior score that was lower and that she is in the 21st percentile. She has very little chance of reading without intervention. During our meeting, which was cut short, I was told the school does not offer pull-out intervention. Her teacher is responsible for intervention, and her teacher consistently requests smaller class sizes, a dedicated aide, and in short, she lacks the necessary support to effect change for my student. I have been I have been doing the intervention myself at home with the guidance of a friend who has a PhD. Our current curriculum is clearly not effective in reading intervention per our CASP scores. Both San Ramon Valley Unified and Sacramento have adopted UFLY, which is the University of Florida Literacy Initiative, which is a phonics-based program, and it's working for them. SRV's third grade CASP score last year was 79.84%, with only 7.28% of students not meeting the standard. I implore you to add to the next agenda review of Wonder's efficacy throughout the district and to consider adopting UFLY as a tool for teachers to use in the classroom and to consider additional elementary supports in smaller class sizes. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you. Inacia Perez Bato.
Thank you. Yes. Hi. Sorry, 1 second. Welcome. Thank you to allow me to be here and speak today to members of the board and Superintendent Clark. My name is Ignacia Perez Boto. You said it well. I'm a parent of Bancroft Elementary School, and I'm also a marriage and family therapist. I work with local families. My son goes to first grade at the two-way dual immersion program, and I have a daughter will be starting kindergarten this fall. We understood siblings will be able to remain together at Bancroft if we chose the monolingual track. Losing the Spanish was a big take, but we said, while we wait and see what the answers are, at least our children could be together. That's not the case. My daughter got rejected. She cannot go to Bancroft like her brother is. Right now, the alternative is Woodside. It's not feasible for a family. They have different childcare, extended wait list this time of year. I reach out to the principal, join the wait list and see what's going to happen. We don't know. So that's where we are right now. As both parent and as a clinician, I want to emphasize that separating siblings this age can increase anxiety, disrupt child's sense of stability, and bond with siblings, connection with family, and families will go under a huge amount of stress that we have already gone through since January, but that's still going to be continued because we don't know anything about this new school. We don't have any certainties about how the arrangements will be, and kids will be separated at this very young age when it shouldn't be. What has been most difficult is that we have not felt heard at all. Despite outreach, it feels like option has been closed without any window for collaboration or problem solving with families. We come here Wednesday through Wednesday, and we don't hear much. We just see what you have to say with your faces, but you don't ever reach out to us with answers. We just ask questions and you send memos, and that's all. So we don't feel heard at all. I respectfully ask the board to review the process, ensure family stability, meaningful engagement is truly prioritized. And just to finish, I want to say that this August, we as a family will have to divide and see who's going to be with my daughter at her very first day of school in her life, and who's going to be with my son, who's very excited to join second grade. So we'll have to see who goes with who. Thank you.
Thank you. And that concludes our public comment for this evening. I don't think we have any communications this evening because it looks like our rep is not here. So that takes us to recognitions and resolutions. Dr. Clark.
Madam President, we have a few resolutions tonight, but the first one that I would like to present to the board is Resolution 25/26-64 in recognition of Autism Acceptance Month, being April 2026. Whereas Autism Acceptance Month provides an opportunity to recognize and celebrate the strengths, perspectives, and achievements and contributions of autistic students, autistic staff, autistic family members, and autistic community members. And whereas the Mount Diablo Unified School District is committed to creating safe, affirming, and welcoming learning environments in which every student is seen, valued, supported, and empowered to exercise their own autonomy to learn and to thrive. So now therefore be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby proclaims April 2026 as Autism Acceptance Month in the Mount Diablo Unified School District, and be it further resolved that the governing board encourages schools, staff, students, families, and the broader community to observe this month by promoting acceptance, inclusion, understanding, allyship, and appreciation for autistic people, and by helping create school communities in which every autistic student can thrive. Madam President, I now leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 25/26, number 64, in recognition of Autism Acceptance Month, April 2026.
Second.
Okay. We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee Nzeli. Trustee Barrero Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with consent from our student board member.
Madam President, I bring to the Board of Education Resolution 25/26-67 in recognition of California Day of the Teacher, which is May 13th, 2026, and National Teacher Appreciation Week, which will be May 4th through the 8th. Whereas Wednesday, May 13th is California Day of the Teacher, and the week of May 4th to the 8th is National Teacher Appreciation Week. Whereas the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District recognizes the invaluable contributions of educators to the success of our students and the strength of our community. And now therefore be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes those previous dates that I gave as California Day of the Teacher and National Teacher Appreciation Week. Madam President, I now leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you.
Madam President, I move that we approve the resolution 25/2667, California Day of the Teacher and National Teacher Appreciation Week in May. I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McDougal and a second by trustee Barrera Oriana. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with consent from our student trustee, Dr. Clark.
Yes, I bring to this board Resolution 25/26-68 in recognition of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month. Whereas the U.S. Census Bureau reports over 20 distinct Asian American and over 30 distinct Native Hawaiian and other Pacific Islander ethnic groups, including Asian Indian, Bengali, Burmese, Cambodian, Chinese, Filipino, Guamanian, Hawaiian, Hmong, Indonesian, Japanese, Korean, Laotian, Malaysian, Okinawan, Pakistani, Samoan, Thai, Vietnamese, and others. And whereas in the Mount Diablo Unified School District, 14% of the 2024-25 student population identified as Asian, Filipino, or Pacific Islander, the third highest demographic. Yet, studies have found that the academic needs of Asian Americans and Pacific Islander students are frequently overlooked. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the governing board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes the month of May as Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month and calls on all schools to commemorate this occasion accordingly with appropriate instructional materials, discussions, presentations, and projects. Madam President, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. I'll entertain a motion.
I move I move to approve resolution 25/26-68, making May Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by trustee Nzeli, a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with consent from our student trustee, Dr. Clark.
Yes, Madam President, I bring for you this evening Resolution 25//26/69, May as National Foster Care Month. And I just want to say before I read this is that we have many students who fall into this category for one reason or another. They have found themselves in the foster care system. And tomorrow night at the AXA Region 6 celebration, we will be recognizing our own Dr. Rosie Reed, who has been nominated and has been named Student Services Administrator of our region, which counts all Contra Costa County and all Alameda County. So we all will be out there to celebrate Dr. Reed and others. So whereas all children deserve a safe, loving, and permanent home, and the primary goal of the foster care system is to ensure the safety and well-being of children while working to provide safe, loving, and permanent home for each child. Whereas unique challenges can prevent students in foster care from attending school, making them more likely to be chronically absent than the other underserved youths due to the home placement changes, school transfers, court hearings, and parental visitations. So therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District, number one, recognizes National Foster Care Month as an opportunity to raise awareness about the challenges that children face in the foster care system. Number two, acknowledges the unique needs of children in the foster care system. Number three, recognizes foster youth throughout the United States for their ongoing tenacity, courage, and resilience while facing life challenges. Number four, acknowledges the exceptional alumni of the foster care system who serve as advocates and role models for youth who remain in foster care. And lastly, number five, honors the commitment and dedication of the individuals who work tirelessly to provide assistance and services to children in the foster care system. Madam President, I leave this in the hands of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. We'll entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 25/26, number 69, with May as National Foster Care Month.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Mayo, a second by Trustee McDougal. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0-0 with consent from our student.
Great. And
board
before I read the next resolution, I'll just let the audience know that during my superintendent's report, I will answer a few of the questions. I will give and I will reiterate a few of the reasons of the Bancroft switch if those people who brought that up would like to remain to hear a few of those statements. Resolution 25/26-70, School Lunch Hero Day, whereas nutritious meals at school are an essential part of the school day. Whereas 191 staff at the Mount Diablo Unified School District Food and Nutrition Services nourish students for academic success every day. Whereas the women and men who prepare and serve school meals nurture our students by creating a warm and welcoming cafeteria environment. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Mount Diablo Unified School District Governing Board expresses deep appreciation to these valuable employees and commends their tremendous work on behalf of children and encourages all to celebrate nutrition, professionals, and their one-of-a-kind superpowers. Madam President, I leave School Lunch Hero Day in the hands of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Clark. I will entertain a motion.
Madam President, I move that the board approve Resolution 25/26-70 in recognition of School Lunch Hero Day.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion by Trustee Lawrence, a second by Trustee Barrera Oriana. There's no comments. We'll go ahead and vote. Trustee Barrera Oriana?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0-0 with support from our student trustee. Okay, Dr. Clark?
Just three more to go, people. So Resolution 25/26-71, School Nurses Day, which will be May 6, 2026, and National Nurses Week, which will be May 6th through the 12th, 2026. Whereas School Nurse Day was established to foster a better understanding of the role of nurses in the educational setting and is celebrated annually on the Wednesday within Nurses Week. And whereas the Governing Board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District wishes to express its appreciation to the credentialed school nurses and licensed vocational nurses for their commitment to supporting student health and provide all students with access to school activities. So now, therefore, be it resolved that Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes May 6th as School Nurse Day and the week of May 6th to the 12th as National Nurses Week. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
I move to approve Resolution 252671 in recognition of School Nurses Day and National Nurses Week.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Azalea, a second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with support from our student trustee. Okay.
Madam President, I bring to you Resolution 25/26-72 in honor of Armed Forces Day, which is May 16th, 2026. Whereas the United States Armed Forces are comprised of courageous and patriotic men and women who have sworn an oath to support and defend the Constitution of the United States against all enemies, foreign and domestic. Whereas this day, observed on the third Saturday of May, offers an opportunity for all Americans to pay tribute to the men and women who are currently serving in the Army, Navy, Air Force, Marine Corps, Coast Guard, and Space Force, including the National Guard and Reserve components. And therefore, be it resolved, the Governing Board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District, that we do hereby officially honor and recognize Armed Forces Day as the third Saturday of May, and we will commend all the men and women of the United States Armed Forces for their service, sacrifice, and acknowledging their efforts to safeguard the liberties we hold so dear. Madam President, so I now leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Clark.
Madam President, I happily ask for approval of Resolution 2526-72, honoring Armed Forces Day.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee McDougall and a second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with consent from our student trustee.
Madam President, I bring to you our last resolution, 2526-73, recognizing May as Jewish American Heritage Month. Whereas National Jewish American Heritage Month celebrates and recognizes Jewish contributions to American culture, history, military, science, government, education, and all areas of American life. And whereas the history of Jewish Americans in American life often remains neglected or defaced by misunderstanding, bigotry, and anti-Jewish hate in the forms of crime and speech. So now, therefore, be it resolved that the Governing Board of the Mount Diablo Unified School District hereby recognizes May as Jewish American Heritage Month and supports opportunities for all students, staff, faculty, and members of the public to honor and learn more about Jewish American history and culture. Madam President, I leave this resolution in the hands of the board.
Thank you, Dr. Clark.
Madam President, I move the board approve Resolution 25/26, number 73, in recognition of May as Jewish American Heritage Month.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Mayo, a second by trustee McDougall. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 500 with consent from our student employee. I just will say, You can certainly say we are very inclusive here at Mount Diablo Unified School District, and I think that's a good thing. Okay, we are now to, we already had 11.1, so 11.1 becomes now annual report for 2023-24 by the 2018 Measure J Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. And we have Gina Hayes to do that for us.
Thank you. Sorry. Good evening, Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Clark. I just wanted to introduce Gina Haynes as our chair for the Measure J Citizens Bond Oversight Committee. For many years, she's participated at this volunteer level since 2019. And so I just want to recognize her because after this evening, a little bit later in the agenda, you will see that Gina is stepping down from her current role in her involvement. And I just want to extend our appreciation for the years that she's volunteered with us. So Gina, take it away.
Good evening, Board President Mason, Trustees, Superintendent Clark. I'm Gina Haynes, former chairperson to the Measure J CBOC, and I'm here tonight to present the annual report from July 1st, 2023 through June 30, 2024. Just to give a little background, in 2018, the Mount Diablo Unified School District placed a $150 million school bond on the ballot that passed. To date, the district has sold $95 million in bonds and has expended just over $31 million. Now remember, this report is 23-24, so things have changed. The specific ballot language for the Measure J bond was to improve and upgrade science, technology, and vocational education classrooms, replace outdated plumbing and electrical wiring, upgrade alarm emergency communication systems, improve student safety and campus security. After the election results were verified, the district formed the Measure J CBOC as required by Prop 39. The committee is composed of a cross-section of community members, including district residents, parents, business people, seniors, and taxpayer advocates, all volunteers. Here's a list of our current members and the organizations they represent. During the reporting period of July 1st, 23 through June 30, 24, the Measure J CBOC held 4 regular meetings and 3 special meetings. At our regular meetings, district staff updated the committee on board actions related to Measure J bond projects and expenditures. The special meetings were called to discuss concerns with the Schneider Energy Savings Contract, the need for independent legal assistance, and the refusal of the district and school board to provide access to legal assistance, and approval of the complaint to the Contra Costa County District Attorney against the district for violations of Government Code Section 1090 related to the Schneider Energy Savings Contract, and approval of filing complaints with the Contra Costa County Grand Jury with concerns over the $50 million energy savings contract. The Measure J CBOC is frustrated with a lack of concern by the district and Board of Education related to the award of a $50 million energy savings contract with Schneider Electric for Track 1 and Track 2 scopes. To put it in perspective, a third of our bond money went to one single vendor, Schneider Electric, for projects that were supposed to reduce a facility's energy use and operating cost. Instead of just installing new equipment, the goal of the Energy Savings Contract, or ESCO, is to make upgrades that pay for themselves over time through energy savings generated. Understand this is not a typical design build bid project generating competitive bid prices. It was one CBO and 2 outside consultants that handed the project over to Schneider Electric, despite them not being the preferred vendor chosen by district staff, and allowing Schneider to not have to provide any guarantees that the project saves the district money over time. The district ESCO projects, that's the LED lighting upgrades and the HVAC replacement and controls, was supposed to save the district $50 million over the next 20 years. But there is nothing in place to hold Schneider accountable, nor has the district done any kind of analysis to confirm they're actually getting that savings. It's not working.
That's the last slide that we have here.
Thank you. That's why. In summary, the CBOC reports there are questions as to whether the state contract law has been violated with the Schneider contract amendment for Track 1 and Track 2. There are legal concerns as the district and the governing board has denied the CBOC access to independent legal counsel. The CBOC has filed complaints with the Contra Costa County Office of District Attorney and the Civil Grand Jury regarding the legality and appropriateness of the Schneider Energy Savings Contract. But other than that, these issues with Schneider Electric, the CBOC concludes that the district has spent the capital funds appropriately. In closing, I would like to share with the Board of Education the actual data collected from 2017 through 2024, showing the consumption at each district facility. District-wide energy consumption has increased 63% from 2022 to 2024. Remember, the lighting contract, Track 1, was awarded in May of 22, and the HVAC and controls, Track 2, was awarded in March 23. Schneider promised savings for the lighting, just the lighting contract, $900,000 annually on gas and electric once it was complete. Instead, this project is costing the district an additional $2 million a year, and that number is just for 2024. And remember, this is based on consumption. It's not the cost of PG&E going up. I'm assuming this will continue to rise, making our alleged $50 million savings a $100 million loss. The project cost plus the increase in energy consumption. Had the Mount Diablo School Board paid attention to the Oversight Committee's concerns instead of ignoring them and burying their heads in the sand, the district could have avoided millions of dollars in unnecessary costs. The district and the board's negligence has costed taxpayers millions of dollars and has denied students the improvements they deserve in their classroom and facilities. The fact that this failure to act is not a matter of oversight, it's a failure of leadership, and it demands accountability. In regards to the Schneider contract, the wheels of justice turn slowly, but they are indeed turning. I am confident that the concerns raised by a majority of the Oversight Committee will ultimately be validated, and those responsible will be held accountable. I'm optimistic that the taxpayers and the voters of the district will hold this board accountable in the upcoming election. As for another bond measure, the prospect of the district asking taxpayers to approve another bond, this time for $500 million, without demonstrating the experience or competency to properly manage bond funds is deeply concerning. Entrusting such a significant sum under these conditions is not just questionable, it's irresponsible. I'm here if you have any questions. I also have the summary that our CBOC did regarding the PG&E bills since 2017.
Well, while you're passing that out, Gina, I thank you for serving all these years. I know you're a busy person, but I know you bring a lot of expertise with you, and we thank you for that.
And I concur with Mrs. Mason's statement.
Thank you.
We might have a question here.
I guess my question would be for our superintendent and our head of M&O, from one of them, just in terms of our path forward here and our response to the presentation.
Well, it says at the end, we conclude that the district has spent capital funds appropriately, taking out the Schneider portion of it that has to do with the switches. Now, what I will say is we, during the time when this contract was awarded, we were in the middle of a pandemic that was being transmitted through the air. And at all of our sites, we had aging HVAC systems, and we had a failure in our HVAC systems, especially once we installed all of the MERV 13s. And so what the contract has brought us was multiple hundreds of HVAC systems that have been installed and are properly working at this point. The controls, if we ever are, as a district, are going to control our consumptions, we need some sort of centralized control. So although our schools have been built in different years under different specs with different designs, different HVAC units, all of those put together, it has been a challenging endeavor for any contractor to take on. I will say, in terms of the CBOC wanting their own legal counsel, within their own bylaws, it says that the CBOC cannot incur funds through hiring their own attorney. So again, I accept the report. I accept the recommendations. I appreciate the CBOC for their work. I appreciate them working to hold the district accountable. But it's it's what are you going to do? Are you going to get HVACs? Are you going to get HVACs replaced? Are you going to break your own bylaws and go ahead and open up an open tab? We did, and just to go back in history, I did offer legal counsel to the CBOC against the bylaws. However, the amount of hours that I offered them, they refused, and so therefore it was going to be an open. It was going to be basically an open PO for them to incur legal costs that the district would then have to pick up, because by law we cannot use the measure funds for that price. So again, I thank the CBOC for their reports and for their oversight, and of course we will take all the recommendations of all the information, and we will try to go forward with that. It is a $150 million bond, and so besides the discrepancies with the centralized controls, things have gone off very, very well within the district with the upgrades that we've done and that we continue to do. So hope that answers your question, Trustee Lawrence. Yeah.
Can I please respond? So, Dr. Clark, a design bid build project for HVAC would have been a far better decision. That would not have cost us $24 million. It's a competitive process. So that is one of the things that we were trying to convey to you before you awarded the HVAC. And as far as the legal, we never intended to use bond funds. That is inappropriate. That's our job. We knew that. We had a proposal with a certain number of hours. We weren't asking to exceed those hours, but you were not offering us the money to cover that proposal. So in addition to that, you wanted us to use one of the district consultant lawyers that has been doing business for the district for the last 30 years. That is not an objective legal opinion. So I just wanted to respond to those comments. I'm telling you, if this bond measure, $500 million bond measure goes through, please do better. Our kids deserve it.
Okay, that takes us to.
Can I make a comment, please? This is a troubling report, Gina, and I hesitate to say let's go for 530 million when it's 3.5 times what we spent on Measure J. What I would suggest is that if we're going to go for this 530 million, we at least put project managers into the proposal that will manage the project to the effect that we make sure that we get the benefits that are listed on the bond issue. And whether it's going to be one bond manager or two bond managers or more, I think this is something that we need to do in view of the fact that the CBOC doesn't have the authority to make those corrections. So I ask that if we proceed on the bond issue, we put in project managers that will manage the spending exactly as we want them to spend it. And that's what I'm proposing.
I think that's a smart decision. I think the workload for Melanie is just not fair to be managing the bond as well as her department. So I absolutely agree. You need experience. You need to pay experienced people. So I do agree.
I agree. This is something where we've got to use the expertise that's available. And I'm not an expert in this. We have the CBOC that has expertise on this. And I think we ought to hire a project manager to use their expertise to spend the money well. And it may cost, I'm ballparking this, maybe 5% more on the bond measure. It may be 10% more, but that's money well spent in my view to make sure the money is spent well, because this is eventually coming out of your taxes, my taxes, and everybody in this room's taxes. And so we want to make sure it's spent efficiently.
Okay,
Thank
so that would be for future projects, but for this project, we're supposed to vote to accept the report. So I'll entertain a motion to do that.
I move that we accept this report as stated.
Have a second?
Second.
Okay, I have a motion to accept the report from trustee McDougall, a second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Guerrero Oriala, how do you vote?
Yes.
Technical difficulties. And there we go. Passes 500 with support from our student trustee. Once again, thank you, Gina.
Thank you.
Okay. Now we're with two board member report, or no, facilities update.
Yeah, so we have a facilities update. We have Mr. Vargas and we have Ms. Coslow, who are going to provide us with an update on facilities, maintenance, operations.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Clark. So I'm going to introduce Melanie Coslow, our Executive Director of Maintenance, Operations, and Facilities, and she's going to go through her departments, but the bigger focus is on facilities tonight. And interesting enough, it's about the things that have been brought up in the previous presentation. So we'll touch on those topics. And so with that, I will let Melanie do her thing.
Thank you, Adrian. Thank you for having me up here again. Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Clark, and our audience, thank you very much. I'm going to try to just keep my glasses on just for a couple little note things so that I'm not going on and off. So good evening. Thank you for having me here tonight. Tonight, we wanted to share a little bit about the Maintenance Operations and Facilities Department, and we'll walk through our current investments, system needs, planning, and just sort of touch on some of the things that we've discussed and some of the things that have been coming up at prior board meetings. So department overview, um, you know, everything that gets done in the maintenance operations and facilities department are the things that, you know, happen behind the scenes every day to ensure that our schools sites are safe, functional, and ready to support not only students, which is obviously our number one goal, but also those school site and other staff members that directly support our students. This includes everything from daily maintenance, grounds, custodial operations, supporting the other programs that take place at all of our school sites, and then obviously larger scale capital improvement projects. We also oversee safety and compliance, all the requirements like, you know, fit inspections and fire inspections and health department inspections. We deal with workplace safety items that come up with, you know, maybe injuries that happen on our campus, if staff have concerns, all of those things. And then just regulatory mandates. You guys will probably remember that last summer we really took a big push to make like all of our what used to be considered a kindergarten play structure, which is now TKK play structures. We had to get compliant with all of those. And so we do those different mandates. Together, the services that we offer just help our campuses operate efficiently. We broke out the presentation tonight in 3 different topics. And so we're going to talk first about our facility investments and progress, including those major Measure J projects, as well as other key projects, maybe not necessarily funded by Measure J. We're going to talk about our current system needs specific to HVAC, because we keep hearing about that and we're all interested, as well as I'm going to give some information on solar. And then finally, planning and next steps. What we're looking at as the district and the board and the community looks at what exactly do we need and how are we going to accomplish that. So facility construction program management, you know, I know Gina shared in her slide, and I'm sharing here as well, that Measure J passed with a 70% vote in 2018. And so that was a really high percentage of community support. And I think that the work that we have done with that money has really met the obligation of modernizing our campuses, but looking at the key components, not all components that were shared, but a lot of the key components, while still with other funds taking care of some of the most shared need from our community. So importantly, I just want to share that while we are still actively completing Measure J projects, all the money is spoken for. So it's listed as a program, and I'll sort of share where that goes under our key projects. So as many of you remember, and one of the biggest things that I'm proud of in my career here at Mount Diablo USD is our elementary campus modernization that we completed over a 2-summer progress at Mount Diablo Elementary, Meadow Homes, and Rio Vista. I think that, you know, doing a comprehensive upgrade to really take those 1950 and 60 era structures and bring them into modern day 21st century learning, we've made a huge impact in those communities. And I think that it really comes through with how students are using the spaces, the way that our students, our staff and teachers are interacting with the mobile 21st century. Everything is movable, and we're not just like lecture style teaching. And so it's even exciting for me, you know, almost a school year later, to show up and see how those spaces are working. And we touched on like just improving the safety and functionality of just the entire campus. Another very large investment that we've completed with the Measure J funds is our technology infrastructure projects. And so we have 6 sites completed. We have 2 sites in progress. We have 1 bidding, and we have more planned within the Measure J allocated budgets. And so district-wide network and Wi-Fi, currently we are under construction here at the Dent Center, and the Dent Center is a special site because everything from everywhere else, all of our 54 other locations feed in here. And so it's like when we have those hesitations, when you guys are doing your voting, like we're going to eventually get past that as this project continues. But we're also transitioning to where we should be, VoIP phone systems, updated emergency response. I think maybe I had heard, I can't remember if it was at this meeting or just another comment, it's not just a clock and a speaker. It really is like the basis of emergency response, how we can utilize what we're installing in these projects to really ensure that we are able to handle a safety situation should, something unfortunate happen, and just updating all of our connectivity. It's been pretty exciting to see those projects lay out. Middle school kitchen and MUR updates. So we've completed one project, which was Valley View. I think most of you or some of you have seen it. We're currently under construction at El Dorado Middle School. I was actually over there this afternoon before coming over to the Dent Center just to see the progress. It includes a complete full gut, all new, a whole new kitchen at that middle school level. It's really taking the initiative of our director, Alex Emmett, and her staff over at Food and Nutrition Services to be able to bring in that scratch cooking to make sure that they have everything they need, proper storage, both refrigeration and freeze, dry goods, all updated equipment, proper electrical where it needs to be so we can have those salad bars, those fruit bars chilled to the proper temperature that the health department requires us to be, and just really sort of take that whole initiative that we're doing as a district to utilize not only our universal food program, but also just that good food entering the stomach of our students. And so those projects are happening, and we are going to reevaluate what school sort of comes next. And we'll be seeing that come down the pipeline soon. And then obviously, as we've discussed, the HVAC and energy efficiency upgrade. And so that included the LED lighting retrofit, building control upgrades, as well as replacing 250 of our aged HVAC. And I'll get into a little bit more sort of in a future slide. But we've done quite a bit of good work with that Measure J bond. I think one of the things that we need to remember is, we have a lot of sites and a lot of needs, and $150 million is a huge investment from our community, but $150 million goes so far in a district our size. Facility improvements beyond Measure J. We have lots of different funding sources that feed into us. And so, Measure A, health and safety developer fees. We have a new COP, which is a certification of participation. We have had at different times deferred maintenance fund. I just want to state that that fund has now been depleted. And then we have our routine restricted maintenance. And so a key component is our health and safety fund, as well as our routine restricted maintenance fund, are funded by the general fund. It's not other funding sources where like the COP and our Measure A, they feed in from different streams. But we've done a lot of really good projects with those funds. And so district-wide roofing replacement, we do have a contract that went to the board last week, right, for two roofs. So after this coming summer, all district site roofs will have been replaced with the exception of three. So we'll hit those next year. Playground safety and compliance, exterior painting, aquatic center replacement. So we're in design currently with the state for that aquatic center upgrade that we're required to do at Pleasant Hill Middle School. But we are really excited for the high school programs and middle school programs that are going to be able to utilize it. Stadium, field and track replacements, help, safety items, trip mitigation, athletics, all of that. So we have a lot of investments that have happened on top of Measure J, but those funds start depleting. And so, we have lots of need with lots of infrastructure challenges. So I want to just do a little bit on our HVAC current conditions. So as you will recall, I came in 2024 and did a presentation specific to HVAC. And so in that presentation, I reported that our assessment showed that about half of our over 2,000 or about 2,000 over 2,000 HVAC units were at life expectancy. And so that means, 1,000 or so units are right around 15 years and 1,000 or so are below 15 years. And so it all just depends. So we took a look at that. We took a look at the contract that we had available in front of us. And so on with the Schneider contract, we replaced 250 units that had exceeded life expectancy, where we were able to do a maintenance type exchange. So which is a little bit different, which I'll touch on what it means when we're doing a full mechanical modernization. But we really tried to extend the funds that we had available within that project to choose the units that needed to get replaced the most for the money that we had. We've also replaced about an additional 25 other units. So since that 2024 report, we've replaced 275 units, give or take a couple, within that time period. And so that's about an eighth of the district's HVAC equipment, if you look at it that way. And then I just also want to mention, we still have spaces within the district that have never been air conditioned. So during the two big initiatives, early 2000 with the original Measure C, as well as our second Measure C in 2010, spaces like gyms and MUs were not air conditioned. We are picking up some of those, like with our middle school modernizations, kitchen MU modernizations, we are air conditioning those, but just sort of take into account the numbers we have, there's still spaces that need to be air conditioned. And so all of this just sort of, remains that our challenge is still there. We've taken off a bite, but there is so much more that we still need to tackle as a district. Make sure I didn't miss anything. One of the things I mentioned was that the DSA requirement. So the reason that we chose the units that we did, again, is just because sort of like a cost factor. How much could we get done for the amount of money that we had? As we look at future projects, or someone might say, how come you replaced this and not that? We had to look at, like, is this going to be a full state directed mechanical modernization? And I think that we need to be realistic that we have stuff like that. Let's look at, our two newest schools, right? Delta View is about 21 years old, and Diablo View is 35, almost 36 years old, I think, after this school year. And so we were able, as a maintenance replacement at 20 years, to replace the equipment at Delta View last summer. It qualified for a maintenance replacement. So our newest school has brand new mechanical equipment. Looking at our second newest school, 35 years old, all of that equipment has exceeded its life expectancy, but also no equipment is made anymore that can just swap for that. Electrical requirements are less now, and the refrigerant is completely different. So looking at a campus, like you go up to Diablo View, it's a beautiful campus still. It's got 35-year-old equipment that's going to need to be replaced, and it's going to be a significant project because of those additional components. So I just think that addressing our HVAC, just we can do what we can do. We are responding. We still have some vacancy in the shop, but we have filled one of the vacancies. And so we have a 3-man shop for HVAC, which should be a 5-man shop. We are getting outside support, and we have a few different companies that are able to be called for work orders. They're very familiar with our sites. They They know our procedures, and we're doing the best that we can. We have a high response time, so we are showing up as quick as possible. But there are still times parts are just not available or we're waiting. And unfortunately, just, that puts added pressure on the teacher, the students in the classroom when we're waiting for parts and pieces. But we really are trying to respond as quickly as we can to all of those things while we have that opportunity to get backup, meaning those outside vendors that are supporting our technicians. It's just a long-term investment that we need to be planning for. Okay, so solar update. I just want to provide some information on this. I brought forward a contract recently and answered some questions. So SunPower was the original contractor who installed solar for us, just like many other entities. And they filed for bankruptcy, which impacted us, not only because of the monitoring that they did for us, but also the maintenance. We have not had anyone in a resource conservation type role in many, many, many years. And so we really relied on SunPower to tell us when we had a problem and then to take care of the problem. And so in response to the bankruptcy and how it impacted us, I brought forward a contract for district-wide inspection. Those inspections started over spring break. They are expected to be completed within the month of June. And so I'm actually meeting with them, I think on Friday, just to go through the first initial, 8 inspections that are done so that they can share with me what they're finding. But I will come back and do a presentation once I have all of that data, because I think that we're all in the same boat, that our solar systems are supposed to be reducing our consumption. And so it's our job to make sure that they're functioning. If they're not functioning, what are they doing so that we can really inspect the data between our consumption and our use versus our savings. And so the work is very critical to develop a long-term strategy on how we're going to handle it. So once we have all of that information, we'll go out for bid for some sort of maintenance program that SunPower did for us, and I'll be sure to come back and share information on that. Another thing that is coming or is happening is a facility master plan update. So we did a facility master plan in 2019, started in 18, completed in 19. For those of us who remember, it was sort of like in line with Measure J, but not Measure J was never expected to fund the program. We are currently working with our architectural vendor LPA to make sure that they have all the information on all the projects that we did since they were last here. We'll be engaging in a core group to take a look at our ed specifications, our district standards, all of those things, as well as going out and contacting our site administrators to review the past master plan, incorporate any new items that we need so we can come back and present some information. In the future, the updated facility master plan is going to serve as a roadmap for us, not just with this bond or that bond or any funding. It's a long-term plan for us. And so I think I'm going to go ahead and turn it over to Adrian here to talk about our next slide.
Thank you, Melanie. Melanie's talked about our challenges, and so with that, this leads us into the work that we've been presenting to the board and what we've been talking about, and that's the bond planning for November of 2026. And so again, we've already done the survey. We've gotten the results. Last week, I talked about the work that we're doing now, which is 3 mailers that we intend to send out to the community. The first mailer has a tear-off survey and also an online survey for the recipients to participate in, so we can get more data. So again, we are doing what we can to prepare for the future facility improvements. And as Melanie has discussed, I'm not an expert in facilities, but I can tell you what comes across my email is HVAC just about every day, whether it's heat or cooling, and also infrastructure projects. And I'll give you a little tidbit as we were preparing this PowerPoint. You know, Melanie and I were talking about the infrastructure projects, and she talked about plumbing. And then it just clicked in my head. I said, because I remember Trustee Mayo asking about Roto-Rooter. And I was like, oh, that's the Roto-Rooter. So, I mean, I'm learning, but I just think about all the need in the district. I do reflect, you know, coming to the district in 2023 and learning about the facility master plan, the $150 million bond, and just kind of seeing things that were in my office and some of the emails that I saw in folders. And ultimately, you know, it's just a reminder for everyone that the 150 million was kind of the kickoff for Mount Diablo, because that facility master plan, if I remember that number, which is pretty common with a district this size, was somewhere in the $1 billion range or something like that. And so that's what I do remember, is that we wanted to start with a small amount so we could learn. And, you know, as we've heard, we've had a lot of lessons to learn from. And then we would go for a bigger bond. And so that is what we're working on. And again, Melanie has touched on, you know, some of our bigger challenges, and, you know, we are doing what we can to address those challenges. But ultimately, if there's not a different funding source, then we're going to continue to put Band-Aids on the things that are breaking down at our 55 plus school sites. So with that, that concludes our presentation, and we'll take questions.
I don't have a question. I just want to make a comment, and it refers to the LED retrofit. I believe the LED retrofit is the third one that I have observed since my children have been involved in the district, a lighting retrofit. I remember complaints from teachers in the classrooms because black tar was dripping from light fixtures because of the ballast was burning out. I believe that was the proper description. I recall classrooms, such as some classrooms at Cambridge Elementary School. There were a couple at Ayers Elementary School. There were some in the Bay Point Elementary School, where when you walked in the classroom, you could not see the word wall because of the what I would deem as poor lighting. And we had students who weren't in our student for the blind program, but were regular students in classrooms that could not see well in our classrooms. I want us to remember that the LED lighting project touches every student in every classroom in our district. And for me, this is profound. If you sat in this boardroom even over the years, that back wall used to be dark. We used to have to turn on bright, well, these lights up here were never adequate. I believe, and also every workspace for every employee in the district has improved lighting. To me, that is a very profound change across Mount Diablo School District. And we have to remember that fluorescents are no longer allowed in California. So we are ahead of the curve. We would not have been able to purchase enough supplies to last us another 10 years, for example. So I believe, although there is controversy around the Schneider electrical retrofit and the controls, I believe there has been a major benefit for every student's learning environment. So, thank you.
So I would agree with a lot of what Trustee Mayo just shared, but I think a couple of my questions would be, I would like an understanding of what our essentially PG&E bill has been over the last few years? Like, what is the increase in the bill that we're actually seeing? Because that goes towards the efficacy of the solar, as well as I guess one of my open questions is as I look at the chart that was presented to us in the previous report, and just trying to understand where, you know, I'm kind of looking at like 2017 compared to 2024 as a point of comparison. So please tell me if there's a better way to think about it. But I see that at some schools like Bel Air in 2017, the usage was around 70K. In 2024, it's 323K. So it 4X's. Other schools,
Keep going.
other schools, it's relatively constant or sometimes even dips. And so is that going back towards are we putting HVAC in those MRUs and gyms? Is that part of the impact? Or I'm just trying to understand what some of those impacts are and how confident we are in the data that was presented to us in the previous session.
So staff is going to respond. They have not had a chance to look at this. This is not a report that we put together, and so they will definitely look at this and give some sort of official response to something. We usually do not accept documents at board meetings and without them being presented earlier. So they will definitely respond, which is a fair question of what is our energy bills and what are the savings or the money that we're losing because the panels haven't been operating to the fullest.
So just to respond to your question and to collaborate with what Dr. Clark stated, you know, we haven't had a chance to look at that. I didn't receive a copy, but I'll get a copy. I think that there's a few different factors, but I will feel more comfortable sort of after our solar and assessments are completed to be able to come back. There are several different factors just to consider. All utilities have updates every 2 to 3 years, increases every 2 to 3 years. All of our utilities have gone up since 2017. We also are now in building code compliant with our HVAC systems, meaning during occupancy hours, even if it's not heating or cooling, the fan is on, which allows us to be in compliance, which allows us to have that fresh air. So that's another factor. So we're shutting off at night, but we're running longer during the day, and a few other factors. And so when we look at like what our generation from our solar should be, but we'll come back and bring that data in a future presentation.
Or it can just be in writing that I could share with the board and post on our website so you get it quicker.
Thank you. It just, my dad used to tell me things all the time that wasn't true, but he used to say they'd start at one end of the Golden Gate Bridge, and when by the time they finished the other end, it was time to start back there. I feel like that's where we are. As soon as we think we got the last thing replaced, we're back to having to replace. So it's hard and frustrating.
And I just want to bring back to the board's attention when the first facilities master plan was done, there was well over $1 billion of need, and so $150 million bond project is not going to address all of those needs. I would prefer that the state provide us with dollars to upkeep our facilities that some are 75 years old or even older. That would be a first choice. I don't want to go out and ask the taxpayers to have to fund this, but this is the system that we are in. And if you look at your tax bill, regardless of where you live, there are school bonds, parcel taxes, and things on there that I don't necessarily feel that we should be paying. But as a community, sometimes we have to come together and fund these things. It's the rules of the system. And although we may not agree with it, it is what it is. But I do appreciate the work of our maintenance and operations department and our facilities department. You know, again, if you've ever done any home projects or home construction and you think about 55 schools, some over a century old, they have truly been miracle workers through this system. And just in closing, when we had the power outage over at the Pleasant Hill School, The reason why we had to keep the generators for so long was because our system is so old and outdated that you can't just fix things the way that you used to. So we had to bring the semi truck generators just to keep the power going. And although people came and criticized us for that, it was a Herculean effort to get that power going and keep those students and staff warm there. So again, thank you to the Maintenance and Operations Department and to this presentation. And this conversation will continue, because obviously if it wasn't a need, we wouldn't be going out to ask our community to help address this need. So thank you.
Okay. That takes us to board reports. You want to start us off there, Trustee Barrera Oriana?
All right. Coming back from spring break last week, the program 15 Minutes came to Concord High School and discussed the dangers of drinking and driving. The program had a profound impact on me, showing me the power we hold when we drive and the responsibility we have for our own lives and others. But on the other hand, we also have AP tests coming up in less than 2 weeks, and I'm wishing 3s, 4s, and 5s for all those taking their exams. Make sure to spread out your studying and to also get some good sleep before the exams. And for all our seniors, make sure to soak up these final moments with high school coming to an end. To also not to forget that these past years are a stepping stone for greater things to come. That's it.
Okay, Trustee McDougal?
It's a short time since our last meeting, so there wasn't time for a lot of other extracurricular activities. But on the 17th of April, I attended the Rocket Ship Charter School's Neurodiversity Festival. And I was amazed at the parent participation with the students. They were running booths and conducting races and that sort of thing. And it was very evident that the school succeeds because it brings in the parent participation. On the 20th of April, I went to the Mount Diablo Business Alliance meeting, and we had our spring session meeting with local business input. And it was very educational, and I think this is being done very well. And I want to make a comment back to the report that Melanie made about the El Monte Middle School renovation of their kitchen. I want to commend the video that was made and put out by superintendent, because it really was well done. The student interviewers were very good, and they interviewed and asked very good questions of the people working on the project. And I think we ought to take that video and show it to middle schoolers and even grade schoolers, because it talked about how these guys made decisions on getting into this job. And I think that might be instructional for all the students to hear. So I really wanted to commend that, the video, because they did an excellent job on it. And then finally, I do want to announce that I'm going to do a town hall on May 4th at the Concord Library with the odd hours of 6:45 to 7:45, only because they close at 8. May 4th is Star Wars Day, and I learned that it's May the 4th be with you, right? So thank you very much.
We were here last week. I will pass.
I failed to mention last week, because spring break was so long ago, that the Friday before spring break, sorry, I got to accompany the Northgate High School Ethnic Studies class to a visit to the Black Panther Museum in Oakland, which is on Broadway and between 14th and 15th. It's been open, I think, for about 2 years. And I think most of you know Black Panther Party was founded in Oakland. And it's a very small but beautiful and meaningful space. And the tour of it is a sitting tour. So the docent gave us just the entire story. And I just wanted to share, I only took a picture of half the wall. Like, why didn't I get the whole thing? I mean, the whole thing wouldn't fit, but of just all the things that the Black Panther Party did in establishing in Oakland, um, that we can sometimes take for granted today, that because they're more common throughout our communities across the country. Um, so Alameda County Volunteer, State of Volunteer Corps, benefit counseling, um, Black Student Alliance, so which becomes the Black Student Union at many schools, child development centers, consumer education classes, community health classes, the East Oakland Center for Independent Living branch, a community pantry, the free food program, and we know they started the free breakfast program and free lunch, disabled person services and transportation and attendance, drug alcohol abuse awareness program, drama classes, drill team, employment referral service, free ambulance program, free breakfast for children programs, free busing to prisons program for families to visit, free clothing program, free commissary for prisoners program, free dental program, free employment program, free food program broadly, free film series, and that's all that my camera captured. So clearly I got at least part way through the F's. But it was the really great thing as we got to see such beautiful presentation from our students was getting to hear the questions and even they were quizzed by the docent, of our students, of the high school students, of how much they came with inquisitive minds, but also how much they'd already learned to that point, and then just got to see it in place. So shout out to ethnic studies at Northgate High School.
So you'll have to bear with me. I have more than a few comments to make tonight. On April 17th, Dr. Clark and I attended the San Ramon Valley Council PTA Advocacy Day event in San Ramon. And this event went from 8:30 until 2:30. And so there were panels and speakers that presented at the event. It included comments from the California State PTA Director of Legislation, Robin Clow, on proposed national and California legislation. There were 4 panels moderated by EdSource's editor-at-large, John Festerwald. And, you know, sometimes he can be a little spicy when he's presenting interview questions. The first panel was with the California Department of it was on California Education Finance, and it featured LAO Principal Analyst Ken Capahan and Capital Advisors Group founding partner Abe Hajala. And they presented both their views about income for California. Both of them anticipated more income than the governor's budget originally projected in January, but then there was a difference of opinion on how that money would be used and solutions for public education, as well as recognition that the non-Prop 98 side of our California budget has a shortfall. The second panel was a student panel, and as you know, students are very candid, answer questions with passion. There were 8 or 9 students on that particular panel. The questions included AI, pouches, mental health, student wellness, and they just laid it out in their own opinions. The 90-minute superintendent panel featured 7 superintendents, including Dr. Clark, whose remarks were very well received. I received quite a few very positive comments about how fortunate Mount Diablo School District is. The fourth panel featured Senator Grayson, and he ended up being a solo because the other 2 panelists were not available at the last minute, and I won't mention their names at this particular time. The PTA San Ramon Valley Council has been active in a campaign called Raise the Base. They would like to see increased base funding because they are one of the lowest funded districts in the state. And with that, there's, it depends on where the source of those funds come from when you raise the base. If it's from within Prop 98, then it's going to take the money from another program from Prop 98. Or if it's what we would prefer, maybe, is that the funds come from outside of Prop 98. And the equity, what do I want to say? The equity assurances are afforded for our districts in greatest need. Please pay attention to raise the base. I think it was 3 or 4 years ago, there was actually legislation, but it was not successful regarding raise the base. I also attended the Business Education Alliance meeting on Monday, and we had a overview of the 3 pathways at Mount Diablo High School, Ignacio Valley High School Health Pathway, and Ignacio Valley High School Education Pathway. And it was very informative. Of course, the faculty members are very proud of their programs and their students. And then I also went to the budget advisory meeting on Monday. Transportation Director Chris Lepe presented his report to the committee, and committee members were engaged, and Mr. Lepe was able to answer all of the questions, showing his knowledge of transportation requirements from the budget, from this legal standpoint, from the service, mechanical, everything. And I think the committee members were very impressed with his presentation. Last night's special education CAC meeting included a presentation by Ann Byrne for setting the limits that guide and empower. The slide deck will be posted on the CAC's web page soon, and the CAC nominating committee has started its work to identify a slate of officers for next year, 26-27. And nominations may be made from the floor at the election meeting. CAC members who are interested in serving or who wish to nominate a committee member should contact the CAC chair people. The committee will work with Dr. Aguili and staff to address several matters and plan the upcoming legislation day in Sacramento. And I want to remind everybody that the spring fling is planned for May 19th at 6 p.m. at Monty Gardens Elementary School. There are 2 other forums that I think you might be interested in knowing about. The Contra Costa County Superintendent Forum will be held May 8th at 6 p.m. at the County Office of Education Boardroom. 2 candidates have filed for this election. Seating is limited, so please register and submit questions. The event will be moderated by the Diablo Valley League of Women Voters, and it's co-sponsored by the East Bay Leadership Council and 32nd District PTA. And although the superintendent role at the county level is different than our own school district's superintendent's role, I think it's important for us to recognize and be aware and informed about who we're voting to elect for that position, particular position. And then there's a state superintendent forum that's being aired tonight and tomorrow night from 7 to 8 p.m. It's virtual, and 3 of the 6 candidates are being interviewed tonight, and 3 will be interviewed tomorrow night. And you can register for tomorrow night's event because you're here tonight, right? And you will receive a recording of both sessions. So you'll have an opportunity to review the questions as they are answered. And to register, please go to www.edsource.org to sign up, and you get your link within 30 seconds. Thank you.
I'll be very brief. I went to the African American Families meeting at Meadow Homes, and it was really kind of cool because really for the families to give their input So Mr. Clark can have, Dr. Clark can have it for the LCAP. So staff sat on the outside, parents ran the show in the middle. That was very informative. I went to Holbrook, as did Dr. Clark, for the cafecito on Saturday, and he helped me figure out how to put my terrarium together. They always have a fun activity for the families to do together, and they shared information for all the families for things that are available for their kids to do over the summer and programs to take advantage of. I too was at the Pathways meeting with Trustee McDougall and Trustee Mayo, and was glad to see snacks were provided by our Serendipity again. Hadn't seen that in a while, so that was really cool. And then I was at the CAC meeting with Trustee Mayo last night, and she already gave a thorough report on that. So I'll pass it to you, Dr. Clark.
Thank you. So I'll touch on a few things. First of all, I want to thank Trustee McDougall for bringing up the video that happened at El Dorado. I can't take any credit for that. All I did was forward it to you all. But El Dorado has a teacher there who is teaching. They have they do a podcast. They have a little class there, and our maintenance and operations department, and I believe Han helped pair the students up with those workers. But then the students took over, and those interviews were absolutely excellent. I was thoroughly impressed by everything, and I was very impressed with the contractors. And I had kind of a starstruck moment. The next day, I was driving by El Dorado, and I saw one of the gentlemen from the interviews. But I don't want to yell from my car at him because I was like, I just saw you yesterday. So, anyway, thank you for that. So I'm going to address some of the Bancroft stuff real quick before I jump into my report. You know, we make decisions in this district. You know, I, as a superintendent, I make decisions every day. And I've said before, I make a decision and half the people think I'm a genius and the other half think I'm just the worst thing that's ever happened. You know, when we decided to make this decision, it obviously, you know, we knew it was going to impact families. We fully understand that. Many of the decisions that we do impact families, and we do not just, you know, there's a whole, and when I go over my data report, you will see that we have some schools that perform lower than others, and we have some schools that perform higher than others. We don't make decisions on which school is performing higher than others on whether or not they get an intervention. So what I mean by that is we don't go to a school, two schools need HVACs, and one of them has high test scores and one of them has low test scores. We don't say we're going to change the HVAC at the high test scores and not do the low test scores. So we really don't discriminate in that way. We really look for need. So I shared with the Bancroft community because I called a meeting and we held it in the multi-purpose room, and I spent not 5 minutes, I spent that close to 20 minutes or a half hour explaining the big picture of why these decisions are important. And what I started off with is every single large district around us is in the deficit and is laying off employees. Oakland, San Francisco, San Jose, San Ramon, Sacramento. I can just go down the list. Mount Diablo is not, because we monitor our enrollment, we make sound decisions, and we work extremely hard to make sure that we are not massively laying off people like so many districts in this time. So I opened with that. And so we make decisions to, number one, increase our enrollment, increase our investment in programs, and to utilize our facilities. Bancroft is impacted. And what that means is it's overcrowded. There's no space at Bancroft. And I've talked about that numerous times. We've had to move our special class programs off of Bancroft. Those students can't attend those programs. Bancroft used to have STEAM labs, things like that they want to bring back that they've been unable to do. So there has been a need to lower the impact at Bancroft. On top of that, just this year, we have heard from the after-school program at Bancroft, and we heard from all sorts of parents that because the school is overcrowded, they can't get after-school care. So we've heard that, and we've heard that for years, but we did hear it this year. We've also heard because of the trajectory in which the students take. Now, we want to create pathways. So you go and learn a skill at one school, and then you go to a next school and learn a skill, and then you go to the next school and hone that skill out, elementary, middle, and high school. And so I explained at Bancroft, there is a successful two-way dual immersion program. But after that, all there is a Spanish program at Foothill. And although it's a good class, it is not, Foothill is not predominantly Spanish speaking. It is not a place where in the hallways you're going to hear different languages being spoken. It is not a place where you are going to day by day practice your Spanish. And so right down the road from Bancroft, we have Woodside, which is in better shape structurally than Bancroft. And Woodside is only a third full, and Bancroft is pretty much at capacity. Woodside then feeds into Oak Grove, which we just heard from the Oak Grove students here that I see as excellent students, and as you know, Oak Grove is doing good things for students. But they have an international baccalaureate program. It is a place where language is part of the program. Language is enhanced. The kids there speak multiple languages at Oak Grove. So if you're going to have a dual way program, it would make sense to have it feed into Oak Grove, that then feeds into Ignacio Valley. So that's part of the pathway argument or side, which makes sense if we're going to, number one, build up Oak Grove, build up YV, build up Woodside as schools, which are all our schools. And yeah, their test scores, may not be as high as some other schools, but if you go to those schools, you have dedicated teachers, you have dedicated staff, and you have wonderful students at those schools. The other issue is that Foothill is impacted. And as you have people who transfer into Bancroft, and even if we tell them like Foothill's probably going to be impacted, they come to this board year after year after year after year saying our kids can't go on to Foothill with the rest of their students because we are not slated for that particular school. And so then we hear the same things, the upset students, the upset parents, things of that nature. So we've been being told for years to fix that. So this is one of the ways to fix it. We have engaged with the communities. However, immediately we were served with with the uniform complaint process, which we then have to respond in that way. So like when it starts going into the legal system, then we can't just go back and forth in dialogue and things like that. So they submitted several UCP complaints versus the district. We investigated it. We created a 17-page response, which takes time, money, effort, all those things, submitted it back. They also had submitted a different complaint also that we had to respond to, submitted those back. They've appealed them, so now they're at the state. They've also gotten a lawyer, and tomorrow we'll be in court again dealing with this issue in court, and that's fine. But again, I can't say things to parents and then go into court and say things as well, because now it's a legal process. So now the lawyers are going to talk. I'm not talking. When we have engaged with parents, I understand this is a very emotional thing, but they've usually in the end have deteriorated to just people being upset. I've sat here, listened to the public comments. I've been questioned, a lot of it false about my commitment to bilingual education or multilingual education. We spend millions of dollars on multilingual education in this district. We have a whole school, Holbrook School, which goes all the way K through 8 in bilingual education. Ignacio Valley Elementary School, Monty Gardens, um, um, you know, out in Bay Point, Shore Acres. We are invested in this, and we work extremely hard to make sure that our multilingual learners are progressing at the levels that they need to. And we have had a major focus this year on revamping our programs and making sure that we are redesignating our students at high levels. So yes, I feel for the parents. Everyone knows that when you put in a transfer, the first thing that comes to mind, regardless of any priority, is space. It's always space. Yes, you are absolutely right. We said you would keep your priority, but that is number two. Space is first, siblings is number two. And so in my response to whoever emailed me, I stated that, yes, you know, I feel for you. I was very empathetic in my response. I was not, you know, someone who doesn't care about this. And I just said, let the process play out. And if there is space, if something opens up, things could open. We could always add a new class there if there's, you know, if there's a need, but we are shutting off transfers to our schools that are impacted, and Bancroft is one of them. So, so anyway, I just thought, you know, because I'm being told that I'm not responding and I'm not talking, I've shared every single thing that I've shared is out there. It's our policies. I went to our transfer policy and it says, number one, if there's space available. Number two, siblings. That's where they are. I have been accused of not following the law, so the lawyers will figure that out. And so if the lawyers figure that out and say, Mount Diablo, you have the right to move a program, then so be it. If it tells me, Mount Diablo, you do not have the right to move the program, then we won't move the program. But I'm pretty confident that we'll be able to move the program. And not only that, it's a 5-year move. So we could have just moved the entire program, you know, next year. Everyone, it's all moving to wherever we place it. It's 5 years. So I think that is, you know, that is more than enough time. If we are going to release someone, if we have to lay people off, we have to let them know on March 15th. People's livelihoods, people's lives, people's mortgages, people's health insurance, we have to let them know March 15th. We let the Bancroft folks know well before that. It's been months since we let them know in the two-way dual immersion program that not that we were shutting the program down right then, that we were just any new kids, the kindergarten would be being shifted over to Woodside, and thereafter every year we would add an additional year. So that is my update on Bancroft. If someone would like to send me an email, that's not a form email that is just cut and pasted, and you have some specific questions for me, I would be happy to answer. With that, I will go on to our superintendent's report. And as always, I share our LCAP goals, which we are in the process now of getting input from all of our different parent groups. We've had a survey up on the website and things like that. And so if you have input to the LCAP, and we collect LCAP input once a year, we don't collect LCAP input like whenever we're going to make a change or whenever we're going to do something. So we're collecting this input from now until the end of June when we submit our LCAP. So I would suggest anyone who wants to see us go deeper in these goals or have other goals, provide that input. I've shared this before. Mount Diablo Unified School District is our Renaissance Star Assessment Program. We test our students at the beginning of the year, middle of the year, and end of year. And so what I have for you now is our data of the fall, winter, and spring. So I'm gonna go over this super quick. What you have in the first column is fall, and then what you have in the middle is winter, and then you have spring, and then the change is between fall and spring. And so it's where there is either growth or decline across the entire year. So you can just go down your list. You can look at Ayers, Bancroft, Bel Air, Cambridge. You know, when I shared this with our principals, I said I wasn't going to call out any schools, either positive or negatively, but it's really hard when you see some big gains there. And the one thing I'll say about the Reds is that if you ask any of our principals who's in the red, they can tell you exactly what they're doing to address it and what they've done to, to address it in the beginning and what they are going to continue to do to address it. And the same thing where we have the big spikes or we have people who are level. And I think that is a place where our principals are where maybe they didn't have access to this some years back. So that's our first page. Second page here, more of the same, going from Mount Diablo L, Pleasant Hill, Rio Vista, Sequoia, Shore Acre, Silverwood, Strandwood, Sun Terrace, Valhalla. Again, not every negative is red, but the ones that, we've highlighted it. So everyone sees it, everyone's aware of it. This is posted for all of our parents to see, all of our staffs to see, and everyone will be able to see where their school falls. Here you have Valverde, Walnut Acres, Westwood, Woodside, Wren, and Ignacio Valley. Then we go to third grade. I know we have data for every grade, but I did want to put the third grade there, and so you can see where our district-wide third grade star scores fell. Then we go to middle school. Now I am gonna call out middle school here because we got pluses all the way down the list here with pluses, and Holbrook, which is our school that is a dual immersion school. You see the growth there, and I called out the principal on this, and I said, well, you only have 50 middle schoolers at the school, and she quickly corrected me that they have a couple hundred. So she was extremely proud of that number, and so on and so on. But I'm proud of our middle schoolers. If you go to a middle school campus, those kids are squirrely. They're middle schoolers. They have all kinds of stuff going on, and for them to really focus on this literacy has been something that they carried over from last year. This is our high schools. You can see high schools. I'm always going to call out College Now, and I absolutely think that that's one of the best programs we offer in this district, and I would just encourage more and more. Well, I know we've already done the registrations for them. Where's Heather? I thought I saw. Oh, there she is. We've already done the registrations, but every year I've been here, it continues to grow, and I know this board really likes to go and interact with those students there. And only because she's in the audience, I'll call out Miss Lucian from Ignacio Valley High School with a 12% gain there. So that's high school. Then we go to math. The numbers on math historically is always a little lower than ELA, but I'm not making excuses. This falls on me. But you can see where we have a lot of flat scores and we don't quite see the huge jumps. I mean, we do have a 9-point jump on this page, so that's nice. And we do have a 7-point decrease on this page, which I know that person is working on and addressing and is working to fix. Here go the rest of our elementary schools. Again, you can see green there. You see a little bit of red, but I see more green than red. So we like that. And in third grade, that's where they are in math. And then we go to middle school. Not quite growth everywhere, but Holbrook again. I mean, they're up there. They're 13 there. So I mean, that seems like a successful program over there. And I know they got a couple hundred middle schoolers over there, so I'm not gonna tease her anymore. But you can see just 3 schools went down and one remained flat, and there's growth in the rest. Then we go to high school. College Now, you see that 17 points there. I mean, home hospital, obviously, when you're working with data, if you have a small sample size, a couple students, I am not discouraging that 23-point growth there, but I just want to put it in context. It's students who are at home and not at school. So they got more time to study and things like that. But it's actually, really should recognize that, because I don't know what those kids could be going through, and for them to keep their education at a high priority, more power to them, and I'm pumped up for that. So again, we see some red there. I don't know, Ignacio Valley High again with the 10-point growth over there. Very nice. I gotta call that out. And so that's our math. That's our data. This is posted on the agenda, correct, Laura? So hopefully our parents, our teachers. I wish we had Miss Ortega here tonight so she could see this and comment or whatnot. But that's our data. We're gearing up for the cash testing, and I know that our students will do their very best, and our teachers will guide them through this process. And just one thing I want to say about this is that we have fallen short in doing makeups for students who miss, and so it is top of our list to make sure that we give every student an opportunity to show what they know through the exams, and we're not going to let any students fall through the cracks and get dinged, because we get dinged if not enough students take the exam. So happy to open up to questions, either what I said about Bancroft or the data. I'd be happy to respond to the board if you have any questions. All right.
I know. Okay, there we go. I move that we approve the items listed under the consent agenda.
Second that.
Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Kelly, it looks like all your people are getting ready to abandon you in like 10 seconds. I mean, gosh, boy, it's a rough crowd, huh?
No, this is consent agenda. It's just like pulling it up.
Could I make a comment while we're waiting to fill the void? Just I wanted to give some perspective on when we talk about Measure J, the 150 million spread across more than 50 schools. That ends up being less than 3 million per school. On this consent agenda, one of the things we approved was a new turf synthetic track and field for Northgate High School, which is over $2 million. So that one item takes up 2/3 of that school's budget, just to give a sense of the perspective of that $150 million spread across all our schools compared to a projected with the master plan $1 billion plus, just gives a little perspective on it. So thank you.
We have been going through and replacing all of our athletic fields, but it takes time, and we'll try to get to everyone who we can.
Thank you, technical assistance over there. Okay.
All right, in true Mount Diablo form, and just to show that we do work very hard to save money, although she was wearing an IB hat earlier, she come on, come on up, Ms. Hoover. She is also our arts, and you all can leave if you were going to leave. Go on. She's also she's also
They want to support their team.
not until I said it. Thank you. She's also our Prop 28 person. You know, they give us this money and then they think it's just free money, but you have to get an administrator to oversee it. And then we get dinged for having administrators and things like that. So we're being very, we're being good fiduciaries by having Kelly be so willing to wear two hats. So Ms.
Thank you.
Hoover, I know
Thank
I've embarrassed you enough. I'm sorry. Yeah, she wears plenty of hats here.
Thank you. Good evening again. Again, my name is Kelly Hoover, and I'm the Visual and Performing Arts Curriculum Specialist. And tonight we'll be sharing an update on our Strategic Arts Plan and Prop 28 funds district-wide. As we go through our slides, you will see photos of some of our visual and performing arts programs throughout the district. Here are some of our photos from Meadow Homes and Sun Terrace art projects. So first, we thought we would just go through a couple slides with some broad updates about our Strategic Arts Plan. Our first goal for our Strategic Arts Plan is, our strategic direction is content, arts, teaching, and learning. And so here's some of the highlights of what we've been working on this year that falls under this goal of our plan. We've been working on revising our arts courses of study, and we've also offered some new course offerings with the help of our Prop 28 funds as well. We also have new elementary art programs with Prop 28 funding. We've restored the music program at Mount Diablo High School, and they also had their first area festivals. I hope some of you were able to check them out last month. It was really amazing. And then we've provided some art and music workshops for TK, and we've also added a preschool music arts specialist at Robert Shearer this year. Our strategic direction number 2 is about infrastructure and resourcing the arts. With the addition of Prop 28, we created a bunch of new art programs at the elementary sites. And so some of our funds went to creating new art spaces for our elementary schools. We've had also art showcase opportunities through the county. We revised our elementary itinerant music teacher job description. And I know you saw that probably in the newsletter, Northgate hosted their first film festival right before spring break. And we continue to hire for our vacant art positions. Strategic direction number 3 is about sustainability, inclusive, diverse equity through communications and engagement. And we have a district VAPA calendar that we have added, and we've also showcased our events in the district and site newsletters. We were able to celebrate Music in Our Schools Month last month with our area music festivals. And we've also been able to provide wonderful presenters for our teacher PD days. Our high school art team participated in a workshop at Bedford Gallery, and we were able to offer our visual arts team a visit and workshop at Adobe this year. Look at all those choir faces. That was our big choir event. Yeah. That was at the church. Yeah, it was at the end of March, sponsored by MDMEF. The Creek Presbyterian, yes. And we had our elementary honor choir as well as our middle and high school groups as well. And they got this great group picture all together. Yeah, it's really great. All right, so that leads us into some of our Prop 28 updates as we will be giving you the annual report at the end of this. But just to give some reminders for those at home and maybe those that are new to our district that we get about $938 million annually statewide with funding that was released in 2024 specifically for arts education in public schools. These are all of the programs that the CDE defines as art education. So anything within this list can be supported with the Prop 28 funds. The funds from Prop 28 are tied to Prop 98. They are a percentage of 98. So as 98 varies, our Prop 28 will vary. And it is received as part of the monthly principal apportionment. It is distributed based on the following formula, with 70% based on enrollment. So as a school's enrollment fluctuates, so will their amount of Prop 28 from year to year. And the other 30% is based on their share of economically disadvantaged students. For districts of over 500 students like ours, one of the rules is that 80% of the funds must be used for additional certificated or classified FTE. So they must be district employees to provide arts education and support in our arts classrooms. 19% can be used for instructional materials, supplies, and equipment, as well as partnerships and contractors. And up to 1% can be used for administration for indirect costs. Another rule for the funds is that we supplement our arts programs and we do not supplant. So every site creates a spending plan each year, and the school site administrators make the decisions for how to spend the funds with input from their stakeholder groups. This allows sites to provide programs that their communities would like to see grow, and it also means that the programs will vary from site to site with what's been funded with Prop 28. So here's some of the things that our elementary programs have done this year. We've added and maintained 24 art staff members. They've purchased art supplies, theater scripts, furniture for new art spaces, instruments. We have some sound trap software, a bunch of various music instruments. We've done some performance assemblies and some partnerships with the Missoula Children's Theater Partnership. Our secondary programs at the middle school level, we've added 32 sections of the arts with our Prop 28 funding, and at the high school level, we've added 15 sections of the arts with an additional 8 arts specialists supporting roles. And here are some of the many supplies that they've purchased as well. We've gotten arts materials, software. We've provided festival and conference fees, musical rights, and symphony tickets for our students to visit the San Francisco Symphony. And I'll turn it over to Gustavo to talk about the fiscal part.
Thank you, Kelly. So as of March 31st, the district expended roughly 88% of the 23-24 allocation. By the end of the year, we will expend it fully. And to note, next year's 24-25 allocation is $4 million, and the projected 25-26 allocation is $4.9 million. And with that, we've already expended some of 24-25 expenditures in the amount of roughly $2 million. So at the end of the year, at the end of June 30th, we are anticipating a fund balance of roughly $6.7 million for the 2 remaining years. And with that, I'll turn it over to Kelly.
So just so you know, each year funding is alive for 3 years. So we have 3 years to spend each year. So this first allocation, our 23-24 was the first allocation we received, and we didn't receive it until March of that school year. So we ended up, most of our sites are spending a year behind because then they use the 23-24 funds for the 24-25 school year because we received them so late. And so this is our first fund that's going to expire. And so our expiration date for the 23-24 fund is June of 2026. So from now on, every June, one of our years will expire, right? So there's always 3 years of live funding. One's in the first year, one's in the second year, and one's in the third year. So our annual report tonight is talking specifically about our 23-24 funds and acknowledging that they are almost finished. So yes. All right. With that said, we do have our annual report.
One of the requirements for receiving this money is not only following the guidelines of spending, but annually presenting a report to the board, which is approved, and then submitted to the state. So tonight we are presenting our Arts and Music in Schools Funding Guarantee and Accountability Act 25-26 annual report for your consideration and approval. And I'll just say, I think it's a celebration. I think this is our 3rd report we're presenting. And I think in that very first year, we had 1 school that was able to use these funds between March and June. And now it's all of our schools. And you we've been able to watch this grow in our schools, the arts grow. So that's exciting.
Thank you. Okay, any questions or comments or motions?
Madam President, I move that we approve the Mount Diablo Unified Proposition 28 Arts and Music in Schools Funding Annual Report.
Second.
Motion by trustee McDougal, a second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Guerrero Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0. With support from our student trustee. Thank you.
All right. Thank you all so much. Thank you for supporting our arts programs.
Thank you for what you've done with it.
Yeah.
Yes, the leadership has been great.
Ms. Hoover, could I ask you a quick question to settle a debate? At one point, were you the vice principal at Foothill?
Oh, my goodness. How did I miss that?
It was before your time, but yes.
He asked me that and I was like, no, she wasn't.
Kim Bayana came in together.
See?
Yes, we were in Santa Monica, moved to Foothill together. So
I told him you were I said, she's a music person, right?
Yeah.
I didn't know you were at a middle school, like cracking skulls and stuff, right?
Delete that from the
Yeah,
record.
I know. No, thank you.
17.2, review and potential approval. I should have started sooner, got you out of trouble. For resolution 25/26-24, implementing certificated layoff. I assume that Mr. Sheehy is going to do this.
See the room cleared.
Yes, nobody wanted to stay and hang out, I guess. I have that effect on people, I guess. So tonight we have the review and potential approval of resolution 25/26-74, implementing certificated layoff. These layoff notices came to you prior to March 15th. The initial notices were delivered to individuals, and tonight by May 15th, we have to issue the final layoff notices. These positions, some of them you approved tonight, a new job description for an wellness administrator, and some of these will be able to be reassigned into that position. However, there will be some final layoff notices issued based on this action tonight.
Thank you. Are there any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
I move to approve the resolution 25/26-74, implementing the certificated layoff.
Thank you.
Second.
We have a motion by trustee Zawi, a second by trustee Mayo. Trustee Guerrero Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
The last meeting, you have to vote no on.
I was just thinking the same thing. I was thinking the exact same thing. Just put it on firing. No, no's across the board.
That passes 5-0 with support from our student trustee. Thank you. Okay. 17.3, rejection of all bids for bid number 1974 to 2026 roofing project for Glenbrook Middle School and Dent Center, and information summary, bid evaluation committee hearing summary. That's a lot.
I'm glad that you said it all. So as it says, we are looking for approval, ratification of the notice of cancellation for bid 1974, the roofing project for Glenbrook Middle and the Dent Center. There was a summary provided within the board agenda cover page. Ultimately, we did conduct a bid evaluation committee hearing, and we did come up with a recommendation, but I think going through that process and talking with staff, we thought it was in the best interest of the district at this point, just because of some of the questions that got brought up, was to cancel or reject all bids and start the process over for these two particular projects.
Thank you. Any questions?
Isn't there a legal action that's now been taken on this?
That I'm not aware of.
I thought I saw a letter today that was threatening legal action.
There was a letter potentially threatening.
Threatening.
Madam President, I move the board ratify the rejection of all bids for bid number 1974, the 2026 roofing project for Glenbrook Middle School and Dent Center.
Thank you.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Lawrence. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0 with support from our student trustee. Next, 17.4, review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Administration Association, recommendations from March 2025, and this one is for action.
Madam President, I move that the board approve changes to board policies and administrative regulations per CSBA recommendations, March 2025 quarterly update.
Okay, we have a motion.
Second.
Motion by trustee Lawrence, second by trustee Nzewi. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
Thank you. And that passes 4-1 with trustee McDougal voting no and our student trustee in agreement. Okay. Review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommendations for June 2025 quarterly update. And is this one is for info or action or both?
There's one back for approval.
I move to approve AR 5131.41 as presented.
Second.
Motion by trustee Nzewi, second by trustee McDougal. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
And that passes 5-0 with consent from our student trustee. Okay. Review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations, California School Board Association recommendations, January 2026 quarterly update. This one is also for info or action or both.
Madam President, I move the board approve changes to board policy 5125, AR 5125, BP 5125.1, AR 5125.1, and Exhibit 5125.1 as presented.
Second.
Thank you. We have a motion by trustee Mayo, second by trustee Barrera Oriana. Trustee Barrera Oriana, how do you vote?
Yes.
That passes 5-0 with support from our student trustee. Review and potential approval of changes to board policies and administrative regulations per California School Board Association recommending January 2026 update. This one is for information. And that, wait, that was the last one. So this was for February 2026. If there are no other comments, then we are adjourned. Thank you, folks.